Here we are at the shop with a Magnesium Case 915 transmission that's been prepared for racing. I'd like to point out a few things that we do to these to make sure that they're durable for competition. One very important thing for the Magnesium Case transmissions, actually as well as the aluminum case ones, is the addition of an aftermarket side cover. The aluminum case side cover reinforces the ring and pinion and helps ensure that the ring gear cannot walk away from the pinion gear by stiffening the side of the transmission. And that's very important. Here you'll see the return for an external gear oil cooling system, which this particular car has, where we add a Tilton gear pump to the system with an external cooler mounted on the car, and this is the return from the gear pump. On the bottom of the transmission you'll note a custom piece that we make here, and this is designed to pick up oil from the bottom of the transmission to be sent to a gear oil pump, which is mounted on the car, and up to a cooler mounted on the underside of the engine grill. And then the cooled oil is returned back over the ring and pinion to help cool that high stress area, because that's one of the hottest running parts of the Porsche gearboxes. And this is how we control the oil temperatures in a transmission like these cars when they're used for competition. In many cases we can see oil temperatures that will hit 250 to 280 degrees, which really impacts transmission life as well as shift quality. So by using an external cooler and pump, we can maintain transmission temperatures between 200 and 210, and that really extends the life of the gearbox and makes shifting it much easier. This particular transmission is equipped with a set of Wevo competition transmission mounts. These are billet aluminum pieces right here holding a very hard urethane insert. And they make two different versions, one for street cars and one for race cars. And these blue ones are for the race cars, and the black ones that they make are more suitable for street cars. But this improves shift quality by making sure that the transmission cannot move or squirm in the mount under high load. One last point I'd like to make about these transmissions: although this is a Magnesium Case transmission, one other modification that's very important to do is a main bearing insert, which goes inside the differential casing to reinforce the pinion gear. What happens in the aluminum case transmissions is that the main bearing, the main housing here, the bearing races become elongated over time, and that allows the pinion bearing to move around and squirm, and it destroys the case, and it allows the pinion gear to move, which in turn takes out the ring and pinion. So a great modification we do to these is to remove the pinion bearing, machine it to take a steel insert, which the aluminum case transmissions do not have. And the steel insert gets put in with a smaller 930 bearing, which is more durable. And then that makes sure that the transmission case can no longer be damaged. The magnesium ones already have a steel insert, which the factory put in, but they didn't put it in the aluminum case ones. So most aluminum case transmissions by now, street or racing applications, need that insert by now, and it's well worthwhile doing. Here's an example of what I was talking about with these aluminum case 915 transmission. This particular hole in this transmission is elongated, and you may not be able to hear that really well, but the outer bearing race is now loose inside this, and it's going to spin, making the bearing spin, the outer race bearing, and that's not what we want. This will eventually allow too much movement to where the pinion gear will now walk around against the ring gear, and it'll take out that very expensive ring and pinion. So the way we properly repair this is to remove the outer race, machine this hole larger, install a steel insert that the outer race of the whole bearing assembly can sit into, and then reinstall. We use a larger 930 bearing, and this makes a permanent, perfect repair on these transmissions and makes them much stronger and much more reliable.